about Invenergy and wanted to segue now. I believe we have Frank with EcoRI possibly around the corner over here.
I am here.
Frank Carini, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. This is the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. What do you think?
Nice.
You know,
I like it.
We're small, we're nimble, but we get the word out.
Oh, very nice.
So were you listening to the conversation with Russ Moore?
I could hear some of it, yes.
Yeah, he wants Senator Whitehouse to weigh in on Invenergy, and Senator Whitehouse keeps kind of ducking and weaving and bobbing. What do you think about that?
About the Burrville, yeah, he got involved with the LNG, but he didn't get involved with Burrville. He's supposed to be our climate warrior, and it's a little disappointing that he hasn't come out and he said it's not a federal issue. Well, it is a federal issue. Why is LNG and Providence Waterfront a federal issue, but the Burrville's plant isn't? So I would agree that he should take a stronger stance. It doesn't make any sense. And if we want to go on down that rabbit hole, I'd be more than happy to speak on that.
There's so many issues as we wanted to welcome you here into the studio because you started EcoRI to really focus on the issues of need here in Rhode Island. How many years ago now?
This is our 8th year.
8th year. And if you don't read EcoRI, one of the best publications here in the state, again, focusing solely on environmental issues, and want to have you in as a regular to bring to our audience here the work that you're doing to talk about kind of hot button political issues. And of course, Invenergy, and one of the pieces that you had this week that I thought was very interesting on EcoRI, a gas leak that's been going on in Burrville for quite some time now that doesn't seem to be taken care of.
Well, it's complicated.
It's a complicated issue.
At least months, and some people argue that possibly years. It's been a grade 3 leak. They have grade 1, 2, and 3. 3 is the lowest, 1's the worst. And there's all kinds of laws and regulations that you don't have to fix it. But a lot of neighbors have complained that it's been stinking up the neighborhood, and they can smell it when they drive by, they can smell it when they jog or ride their bikes by, and it's expensive to fix. And nobody's it's a Algonquin pipeline, but it's from the Ocean State power plant.
Okay.
But it's owned by Spectra, and they haven't fixed it. And technically, they don't have to fix it.
Does this raise issues as the power plant debate keeps going on about sort of the relations between corporate and residents? If this kind of one issue is where it's at currently, does this just raise greater issues in terms of how residents are going to be addressed?
Yeah, all the rules and laws and regulations are written and enforced to benefit the big companies. So the neighbors don't have any power, don't have any money, so they get run over. So maybe it's not going to explode, this gas leak, but it's still a quality of life issue.
And you say it's expensive. I mean, would it take a lot of money to come in and address and fix, or am I making it too simple?
Well, from the energy company, Spectra will say that it's an outdated valve system, so the parts are more expensive. So basically, that's the catch. I don't know how old it is, but it's old enough that it isn't the newer technology, so it's older technology, so it's more expensive to fix. And it's always, well, if it's expensive to fix, we don't want to raise the ratepayers' the ratepayers' bills.
Why does it have to come off the ratepayer?
Exactly. And there's, like I said, there's different levels of grade leak. So it was a grade 1, they have to fix it immediately, but grade 2 a little bit more problem, and grade 3 is lower priority. So it just keeps leaking.
How much of an environmental impact does a gas leak have? And I kind of tossed out both Burrville and the recent very loud and vociferous leak that happened here in Providence at the Manchester power plant leak that happened just a couple weeks ago now.
March 29th, yeah.
I've heard folks asking about that, saying it was like Russian like a jet airline for a couple of hours. Does that have any environmental impact? Clearly, public safety was sort of issue number 1, making sure that did not ignite. But what is that, again, for a couple hours? Is there any impact of that?
Yeah.
Spewing natural gas?
Yeah, there's an impact. My colleague Tim Faulkner has been looking into it. He actually just posted a story. We just posted a story today, but they're digging out the trench now because there's toxic material in that trench because of the gas explosion and the gas leak, so they have to truck all that soil out. So, of course, there's an environmental cost to it, and we've asked DEM, they didn't get back to us. We've asked, the EPA said that it's not their jurisdiction because it was, again, a grade 3 or whatever, so they don't care.
That was grade 3. That was not major?
The explosion might have been major, but the leak was not a grade 1 leak. And EPA doesn't get called in unless an energy company calls them in, like Natural Grid in this particular case, or DEM.
Yeah.
So EPA said that we don't know. Nobody knows nothing like that. So.
Well, but here you are again. The work that EcoRI does, and the journalists and folks who want answers. As you said, there was contamination that you believe was around the actual site.
Yeah, they've been trucking out. It was polluted. The dirt and soil that was under there.
No, I had gone down there that night because I had gotten wind of it. No pun intended.
Right.
But it's one of those scenarios. Smelled it, but you kind of wonder where did it all land in the water in the wetlands. I mean, where did it all dissipate to?
In the atmosphere, and there's leaks. I forgot the number, but just in Rhode Island alone, I don't want to throw out a number because I don't know the number, but it's high. They're just grade 3 leaks that are just
happened.
Been leaking for months, some for years, and it adds up, builds up. It's going to
Builds
have a
up.
cost, but nobody will tell you what the cost
Builds
is.
up, no pun intended. Speaking of things building up, one of the things I wanted to talk about that you had on your site, upcoming beach season and marine debris. You took a look at just the accumulation of marine debris here in Rhode Island. I mean, is this just another call to folks? I mean, how do we even begin to address this issue?
We can't even get a plastic bag ban in Rhode Island. It's a hard issue. I mean, this plastic waste can be coming from anywhere in the world.
Again, you can't say it's not necessarily just Rhode Island. It's
right,
in the big oceans.
Right. It's not necessarily people just throwing stuff out the car window. It's blown off trucks. It just falls out of a barrel. So it's not all people being careless.
Just little bugs. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
more
a problem. We have so much plastic. The gentleman in Little Compton in one summer the whole year last year picked up nearly 4,000 bottles just plastic bottles just off Little Compton shoreline. Not the whole state, just Little Compton.
4,000 bottles just off Little Compton.
What you can do is
is that the picture I saw?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had also picked up he had another picture of I don't know how many balloons, but 1,300 balloons, and it's a mess. And that's just Little Compton shoreline. Never mind the rest of the state. But what can you do is reuse and don't consume as much. Plastic is everywhere.
As evidenced by, I think, and was that sort of your point that when he had all those bottles to put the picture together, just to say it adds up. It's not just something here or there, but here's the impact. Here's what washed up on my beach.
Yeah, it shows people. We get more reaction from that than we do from many photos we've got.
Yeah,
in the last couple weeks, but
picture 1,000 words.
Yeah, it's a lot, and that's just one town. And not even that populated of a town. So again, it's coming from all over the world. This plastic pollution.
But it was very disheartening to see, and I think as bringing light to it was incredibly important. And if you hadn't checked it out, go to EcoRI to check that out. But we're going to have you in here on a regular basis to talk about issues of importance in the environment in Rhode Island. And I'm kind of split here because we don't have too much time today, but I do want to know, what are your big goals? I mean, what's the pressing issues of the State House this session as they're on break this week and we're heading back into session? As a journalist over here, what am I keeping an eye on?
Well, that would be more of my colleague Tim Faulkner, who he's the one who's up there all the time. I don't know. I try to
maybe
avoid
I'll get him in next week.
He can answer that question better, but the bigger issues which can be addressed with bills is land use. For one, I think our land use strategy, if we even have one, is so misguided or laxing. It's terrible. So there's some of those bills, and then obviously there's the other things like the plastic bag ban bill, but that's not a huge bill. Tim would know better than I. I mean, I read his stories, but he's up there all the time. He interviews all those people. I don't go up to the State House much.
So they have the one at the state level, but it's being handled by cities on a sort of a city by city and town basis. Is that really kind of possibly be the best way to approach it and achieve success?
Town by town, yeah.
It would be better if, in your opinion, if the state came in one fell swoop.
But they're not going to. It's just like the third or fourth year that there's been a Senate bill, a House bill, and it's just further study, all the typical excuses, held for committee and all that. We can't even do that because we bring in, from D.C. come all the lobbyists, and we somehow, we need plastic bags to drive society or something. It's a simple problem that can be easily remedied. Pakistan got rid of bag ban like 20 years ago. Outlawed them.
Really?
Yeah,
and here we are fighting tooth and nail for cities and towns. And who's got them here? Barrington has a ban?
Barrington does. Middletown just this week approved one. And Newport has one.
Correct, yes. I did see an interesting, I think there was a police blotter example in Barrington. Someone tried to call someone out. They thought they were using a plastic bag. It was like a citizen's arrest. And they called the cops.
It's a good use of police. I'm sure they like
But
that.
I think it was like a Talbot's bag that was like a reusable bag.
Did the police, did they respond?
I believe they did. I will find this example of the police. The Barrington police blotter is just fantastic if you haven't read it.
I haven't read it before.
But I knew they were one of the towns that had done it. Any other towns, is it any ordinances up for consideration? Anything in play?
Not that I know of in Rhode Island, no, those are the only, I mean, I guess Portsmouth, Clean Ocean Access, Dave McLaughlin's group is trying to get island-wide, so now I guess Portsmouth is left.
Okay.
But I don't know
It's
if,
the outlier.
yeah, and I don't know if they've, upcoming council meeting, they might be discussing it, I don't know. I just moved there, so maybe I'll know better next time. But
Just moved there. Where'd you move there from?
Providence.
Oh, okay.
Lived
Just
in
wanted a little slower pace of life.
Yeah, city person, Boston, Cincinnati, Providence, never had a yard, never had I had to buy a push mower the other day, so little country life.
Now you're living the country life again with EcoRI, and again, gonna have you in here and talk to folks again. This is fantastic, just to talk about what are the pressing issues in the environment and the great work that you do at EcoRI.
Oh, thank you. No.
I'm very glad. I mean, there's so many times I call you up and there's issues. I'm like, I need to ask you about this. I need to ask you about this. You're the source to go to. And I look forward to being able to talk with you in the near future more about this.
Thank
Frank.
you.
So
Appreciate
thanks
the
for
kind
coming
words.
in. We have some music here that we're going to kind of tag off. So I'll let you go around the studio, come talk